Good afternoon. This is 5 minutes after 12 on the side of the radio. How are you today? I hope your day is going on well. Today is Tuesday, the third day in the month of December 2024. All right, so yes, compliment of the season to you, and you're welcome to our day 9 of the 16 days of activism right here on the big question on Women Radio WFM 91.7, which is Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. All right, the 16 Days of Activism is a specialized program where we get to raise awareness, mobilize action, and call for the prevention and elimination of all forms of violence against women and girls worldwide. Now, this broadcast started up from Monday, 25th November 2024, and we're going to take this through till the 10th of December 2024, which is the 16 Days of Activism campaign. All right, so we're doing this from 12:05 up to about 12:30, 12:35 p.m. Now, you can do what to join the conversations by calling us on 07000 917 917. Send us a WhatsApp message on 070 317 56537. You can go ahead and, of course, send your contributions to our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and at WFM 917. And of course, I log on to our website, www.wfm917.com. So today, on day 9 of the 16 Days of Activism, we'll be discussing work done so far, challenges and way forward, and supporting survivors of sexual and gender-based violence under the topic Rising Above SGBV. And we know that the theme for this year's 16 Days of Activism is hashtag No Excuse Unite to end and prevent violence against women and girls. All right, so today joining me on the program this afternoon is Christiana Abayomi Oluwole. She's the CEO, Executive Director of Global Hope for Women and Children Foundation, GLOWOC. Good afternoon, Christiana. How are you today?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm so fine. And you?
I'm okay. Thank you so much. So, how was the 16 days been for you, being the CEO of GLOWOC? I can just imagine how, activities pulling you left and right and all of that. How has it been so far?
Wow, it's been fantastic. It's been wonderful. We have been uniting with other key and relevant stakeholders in Kwara State to raise awareness, to call for action against sexual and gender-based violence. And we have been collaborating with organizations like the Ministry of Women Affairs, National Human Rights Commission, the Nigerian Police, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense, and other civil society organizations, the Society for Family Health, and a host of others. The Ministry of Justice, of course, the National Orientation Agency, and all key and relevant stakeholders. We've been on the street of Kwara. We've been at the communities, at the 3 senatorial districts. We have had town hall meetings. We have held radio programs just to sensitize the community on the need to put an end to all forms of violence against women and children, and even women and girls, and to take action so that we can make life worth living for the women and the girls in the society, so that we can create safe spaces for our women and our girls in the society. It's been a wonderful experience, and I want to say kudos to all stakeholders, all civil society organizations and NGOs that have joined us in Kwara State to commemorate the 16 Days of Activism. We took off on 25th of November, and we'll be running our programs through the 10th of December. Thank you so much.
All right. So are you telling me that all of these programs that you've mentioned, you have all achieved this just within the 9 days of the 16 Days of Activism?
Yeah, very well.
Wow.
Because we actually started with a road walk. From the road walk, we had a town hall meeting. After the town hall meeting, we had sensitization and awareness creation across the 3 senatorial districts. And even yesterday, we had a review session on as a feedback session on what we have done so far, then how we continue. And today also, we were on the road as early as 8 a.m., especially to commemorate also, in addition to the 16 Days of Activism, the World AIDS Day, because it was on a Sunday.
Yes.
And, we also have violence against our women and girls that are living with HIV. So it was a wonderful session for our women and girls living with HIV, supported by the Kwara State Agency for the Control of AIDS and also the Society for Family Health, then in collaboration with other civil society organizations. We just ended the road show now.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Christiana, and well done to Glowwork for all the programs and initiative. All in a bid to prevent and, of course, to take out sexual and domestic violence in all forms of it from our society. Well done. All right, this is 11 minutes after 12, and of course, this is the program The Big Question, where we're going through with our 16 days of activism. Today is day 9, and of course, we are looking at Rising Above SGBV with Christiana Abayomi Oluwole. She's the CEO and Executive Director, Global Hope for Women and Children Foundation, Glowwork. All right, so you can be a part of the program by dialing 07000 917 917. Send us a WhatsApp message on 070 Those are the ways you can get in touch with us today. Our toll-free number for female callers is 0800 123 917. This is Women Radio, and my name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. So let's head on straight to the conversation for today. Now, Christiana, as an organization, Glowwork itself, who has done lots of programs, initiatives, all in a bid to create awareness on sexual and gender-based violence in all forms of it. How have you been able to support survivors of sexual and gender-based violence? What specific programs or services has Glowwork done so far to provide this help to survivors, to help them rebuild their lives after experiencing SGBV?
Thank you very much. At Glowwork, we provide psychosocial support for survivors. Mm-hmm. We provide survivors with tools for economic independence, so as to ensure access to vocational skills training. We also ensure that the shelter that we manage for SGBV survivors is conducive for survivors to access and receive the necessary care that they require. We empower survivors to regain confidence and independence after traumatic experiences. How do we do this? By fostering resilience and creating environments that nurture their personal growth. Also at Glowwork, we offer trauma-informed therapy. This helps our survivors to process their experiences and rebuild their lives. Also, we provide educational support, medical support, community integration. We also offer mediation and other alternative dispute resolution. And beyond that, we also carry out some prevention programs so that our survivors will not be re-abused again. So we also want to prevent them from further abuse. Then we advocate also for the enforcement of legal framework and policy reforms. We, as in Kwara State, the VAP Act was passed into law in October 2020, and all we do is to ensure that this VAP law is enforced. We also have the Child's Right Law that has been passed over a decade, and all we do is to ensure that these legal frameworks are enforced, and we also support other policy reforms. Then, for the services that we do not offer, what we do is to provide effective linkage and referral services to facilitate access to justice and legal support. Because we believe that no matter the socio economic support you give, no matter the therapy you give to the survivors, if justice does not have its course, the survivors will not feel fulfilled. So what we do is to collaborate with organizations that offer legal support and access to justice. And we are in the forefront in supporting the prosecution committee on SGBV in Kwara State. We support the committee. So through the committee, we're able to facilitate access to justice and legal support. Thank you very much.
Wow, well done, Glowwork. I mean, this is definitely a lot. I like the part of, providing psychological support. You also help with the legal part of it, policies and all of that. So well done for the work you've done so far for survivors. So now let's look at addressing societal stigmas and cultural barriers. How does Glow Work, work to address societal stigmas, cultural barriers that discourage survivors from seeking help?
Okay, thank you very much. For us at Glow Work, we adopt a multifaceted approach, giving priority to sensitivity, education, and advocacy. And how do we do this? We organize community-based awareness programs to debunk myths and misconceptions by educating the people on the causes and impacts of abuse or trauma. We also partner with respected community leaders and religious figures to promote positive messages and support seeking behavior, because we know that at the community level, our people believe so much in our community leaders and religious figures. So we use these people to promote positive messages and support seeking behavior, so that we will not have the issue of victim blaming. Instead of blaming the victim, is the perpetrator that will be blamed. Then we also ensure that our messages are delivered in languages and tones that are familiar to the community. We go down to the level of the community so that communication actually takes place in the language that they understand better. Then we facilitate peer support networks. This empowers our survivors to share their experiences, and through this, they will heal collectively. And then beyond the community structure, Glow Work also works with governments and other relevant organizations to establish survivors-friendly laws and policies. And when survivors see policies that favor them, that support them, and prevent stigma and discrimination, they will be happy, and they will live above stigma. Then Glow Work also provides survivors with a lot of tools for economic independence, so that this boosts their confidence to seek help. When they know that when they come around, because in most cases we discover that some of them are into abusive relationship, they want to leave, but they can't leave because they are independent.
Mm-hmm.
They are attached to their partner. So it's the abusers that provide all their needs.
All they need.
So it becomes very impossible for them to leave the abusive relationship. So by the time we're able to provide them with tools for economic independence, it will be easy for them to seek help. It will be easy for them to live life-threatening relationships. Then we also advocate on the need to ensure that our sexual assault referral centers and the shelters are one-stop free shops. Because currently survivors still pay some level of fees at the SAC center. So we keep advocating that we want the sexual assault referral center to be a one-stop free shops for them, so that they can come and access the necessary care that they wish to access. So this has been a challenge, but we know that with continuous advocacy, very soon the SAC will be a free one-stop shop for our survivors. But for the shelter has been free. They don't pay a dime. They enter the shelter and receive their support services. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Thank you to Christina for taking us through, how you've been able to help survivors through addressing some of the cultural issues or even stigmas that they get to face that could hinder them from seeking help, and also helping to empower them to gain their confidence and their independence. Thank you for taking us through that. Now, this is 20 minutes after 12, and this is is Women Radio WFM 91.7, Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and this is the program The Big Question. And on The Big Question, we're going through with our 16 Days of Activism campaign. Today is day 9, and we're looking at the topic Rising Above SGBV. And we have Christiana Abayomi Oluwole, the CEO and Executive Director, Global Hope for Women and Children Foundation. And she's taking us through some of the work they've done so far, some of the challenges and way forward in terms of supporting survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, because that's what we are concentrating on our 16 Days of Activism on Women Radio. Because sometimes it's not just about preventing it, it's not just about ending it. Sometimes it's survivors themselves. What are we doing for them? What are we doing to help them? What are we doing to help them regain themselves? Because that's very, very important. That's a very huge aspect too of ending and preventing sexual and gender-based violence. All right, so now Gloria, let's look at how your organization has been able to involve communities in raising awareness and foster a culture of zero tolerance for SGBV. I know you've mentioned some of the community engagements you've done, but how responsive have these engagements been? The community leaders that you said you've gone through them to actually create awareness to these communities. How has that been able to help in order to keep pushing for a culture of zero tolerance for SGBV? Let's hear more about that.
Okay, thank you very much. Like I said earlier, we conduct workshops to educate community members about sexual and gender-based violence. We talk about its impact and the reporting mechanisms, because a lot of people, when they even experience gender-based violence, or when somebody around them experience gender-based violence, they do not know the reporting mechanism. So we sensitize them on this. Then we also utilize the local radio, TV, and social media platforms to disseminate messages about SGBV. So through our partnership with the respected leaders, we're able to advocate for SGBV zero tolerance, and this have very significant influence over local norms. This helps us to facilitate safe space and support groups for survivors where they share their experiences. So we work with these communities to push for stronger legal frameworks and enforcement against SGBV. Some of the programs we implement in schools also help to teach students about consent, gender equality, and respect. So our allies with the male is another aspect that has helped us. So we work with male allies, and this to ensure that both men and women are actively involved in the initiatives to challenge stereotypes and reduce stigma. So this has been positive because our he or she have been champions on the field for us, and even in raising awareness. They themselves, they have imbibed the culture of zero tolerance for SGBV. So when they see something, they all say something. Thank you.
All right. I like that part of it. When they see something, they say something. Because, that is one of the major ways that we can, take out SGBV from our communities, our societies. If all of us take this upon ourselves to always say something about it and not just to turn the other way around, then I think we'll be making a very huge stride in taking away domestic violence away from us and sexual violence too. Right, so let's hear about challenges, because I know all of this programs, initiative, all of this awareness that you're creating, it doesn't come without challenges. So let's hear the challenges you faced so far and how you've been able to surmount those challenges, all in your efforts to support survivors of SGBV.
Thank you very much. We have numerous challenges, but the truth is none of these challenges are insurmountable. Because they are not problems. They are just challenges. And once they come, we look around, we brainstorm, we work with other key and relevant stakeholders to see how we can overcome these challenges. And some of these challenges include the fact that a lot of people that are abused, a lot of survivors, do not report abuse. This is because of the societal stigma, the victim blaming, and this has deterred many of them from seeking help. But because of the sensitization, because of the support that they continue to get, many are coming out because they are seeing results. The result, especially in the fact that we are now getting judgments for most of our cases, and they say that wow, getting judgment has made the situation to serve as deterrent to all perpetrators. So, and it has given confidence to survivors. So we are able to surmount the aspect of non-report of abuse. Then survivor funds is another challenge we have in the state. Currently, yes, the state is trying. His Excellency on his own is trying. Our Excellency has tried. At least we have 2 SAC centers in the state with support from our Excellency and other partners. But then we do not have dedicated fund for survivors in the state. And we need this dedicated fund. So lack of survivor funds is a serious challenge. But we are able to overcome through some of the partners that come around and even with some support from the Office of Our Excellency. But it is not enough. The inadequate enforcement of existing law. We have, in some cases, family and community interference. And, when cases are on, you see communities and families coming to beg and to interfere to affect judgment. But what we keep telling them, in Kwara State, we have zero tolerance for SGBV, and that's why Our Excellency, the First Lady of Kwara State, Ambassador Professor Olufolake Abdulrazak, set up a 21-person committee, of which GLOC is a member, and other MDAs and the security agencies and even the other civil society organizations. And this 21-member committee ensure that once a case starts, we conclude that case to a logical end. So when somebody comes in as family or community interference, we tell them that the offense is against the state and not against an individual. So by the time they hear that, the SGBV committee is involved, they withdraw because they know that that is a no-go area. Now, we still need to do more.
Yeah.
A lot of things that we need to do to avert these challenges is to continue to work with legal experts to provide pro bono support. Because in some cases, like I said, lack of survival funds affects us when we want to get justice in some areas, because where we have survivors needing to travel from far distance to maybe to the state capital, and we need to spend some nights. So we need extra funding. We have some survivors that even at times they become pregnant as a result of SGBV, and we need to keep them in the shelter. So their healthcare support and even the baby care and the mother care at times is overwhelming. So we need funds for such. So we also need to continue. We have trained law enforcement agencies, but we need to continue to retrain our law enforcement on SGB issues, because at times we still get some challenges from their end. Then we also need support for vocational trainings, microfinancing, and especially employment for some of our survivors so that we can empower them more economically. Because the truth is we have more survivors than the resources that are available. So we need more support in form of microfinancing and employment opportunity. Then the SACs and the shelter need more funding allocation. That is another area that we need intervention in the state. Then at the state level, currently we do not have vehicles that are dedicated for SGBV interventions. Many a times we have cases and we need to quickly pick up security agencies to the venue of scenes for rapid response. And I tell you sincerely, vehicle transportation becomes a serious challenge for us, especially when we are going to very far distances, even when we want to reintegrate survival back into the community. So we need dedicated vehicle for this.
Okay.
Then enforcement of the law, like I mentioned earlier, weak enforcement of our law. So we need our law to be enforced so that our survivors will be protected and so that it will also ensure accountability for perpetrators.
Okay.
Then our community and religious leaders too, we want them to continue to use their influence to challenge stigma and support survivors and promote gender equality. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you too, Christiana, for taking us all through all of that. Now let's have your final words on all what we've said. How do you think we can all come together? I know you've mentioned a bit about community, society, government, and all of that, but how do we all come together purposely to support survivors of SGBV? And then you give us your final words with that too.
Okay, thank you. Well, for me, I believe we need to create coalitions, committees, or task force that comprises the government agencies, civil society organizations, security agencies, and survivor-led organizations to coordinate the efforts of SGBV. Then I think when organizations advocate for better policies and also monitor the implementation of these policies, it will really help. Because we have the policies, but implementation and enforcement has been a challenge. Then I also feel involving the society in shaping policies to ensure that these policies reflect cultural realities and community needs will also help us. Lastly, I already said we have 2 sexual assault referral centers. But we do not have any in the northern part of the state. We have only 1 shelter home. And honestly, the maintenance of this shelter is cumbersome. So I believe establishing additional sexual assault referral centers and maintaining the existing ones, including the shelter home, will help us so that survivors can access legal aid, medical aids, and psychological support as one-stop shops across the 3 senatorial districts of Kwara State. Then, also, our community members can also help us to offer emotional support and help us to reintegrate survivors. And also, the community can help us to counter stigma. Once stigma is gone, survivors will be free to express themselves and they will have access to the support that they need. So we need to develop community-based programs to help survivors rebuild their lives. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you too. Thank you, Christiana, for being a part of our program today. And, well done to all the work that Glowwork is doing. And I'm hoping that by this time next year, we're seeing a difference with all of the work that we all are putting into the 16 Days of Activism and even beyond. So hopefully we get to see all of this, giving us a meaning at the end of the day. Thank you, Christiana.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And I want to say, let's speak out. Let's support survivors. Let's prevent gender-based violence. Let's work in unity. When we are united, I tell you sincerely, stopping SGBV is not the work of one single organization. No single organization, no single individual can achieve this. But when we combine all our efforts, our resources, our expertise together, we can unite to put an end to sexual and gender-based violence. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Do have a nice day ahead, and I wish you all the best in the rest of the 16 Days of Activism in all the programs and initiatives you have planned for the rest of the days and even beyond. All right, so that's it from Christiana Abayomi Oluwole, the CEO and Executive Director for Global Hope for Women and Children Foundation. A very big thank you to her for coming on our day 9 on the 16 days of activism. Now, let's not forget, like Christiana said, it's not just for one person. The fight to prevent SGBV and even to help survivors is not just one person. Together, we can build a safer and more equitable world where everyone can thrive free from violence. So, thank you once again to our guest today, and thank you too for tuning in and listening to The Big Question. Thanks to the program's team of Women Radio for putting this together, and the executive producer, Tom Okewole Shonaya. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. Do well to join us tomorrow while we're going through the 16 days of activism. Day 10, we'll bring up another organization and we get to listen to what they have done so far as regards to supporting survivors. All right, do well to stay with us right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. And of course, do well to have a great day ahead. Good afternoon.
WFM 91.7.